Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this Monday's Wealth Creation Show, and we are continuing our mini series with part three of the three-part series in happiness and prosperity. So, part three, we are looking at the 5 steps to happiness and prosperity. We're going to break these down today, have a wee discussion about each individually. Just to make you aware, obviously, we're going to do firstly how you make your passion work for you. And then we're going to look at the next step, which is understanding how society works for you and how your view on society, how that works for you and how it works for others around you. Earning money from your life's work, and that's step number 3. And step 4 and 5 are increasing your money IQ. And then we're going to look at increasing your money EQ and what exactly that is as well. So it'll be quite interesting today. We'll try and relate it back to some of your experiences, Jim, and definitely anybody who wants to join in the comments, keep it interactive. We are live. We'll happily try and answer questions as we go, as long as we have enough time to do so. So yeah, what's your thoughts on this today, Jim, on our part 3 installment?
It's just beginning a more journey, really, learning more information, getting an insight into further detail, making your passion work for you. Probably that's the most important one. I'm getting a lot of content just now about Diary of a CEO with Jimmy Carr, so I'm on my second time watching it.
Yeah, they're actually quite good.
Yeah, and I've actually committed to watching it again for the third time, and this is 3 times in a row. And everybody goes, "Why would you want to watch a podcast about Jimmy Carr and Diary of a CEO 3 times?" Because I tell you what, everything he said is so profound that it's exactly right, exactly what he's saying. So it's learn from the masters. Why would you want? I mean, Stephen Bartlett talked about it. His passion. His passion is learning in business, but his passion as well is being a DJ. And Jimmy Carr says, well, go and ask me if you should go and be a DJ. And Stephen says to Jimmy, do you think I should maybe be a DJ? And he went, oh, fuck no. It's like, no. You stick exactly what you're doing. Don't go something else, doing something else completely different. And this myth about diversification of incomes, about multiple income streams, is a lot of tosh. There, I've said it. The only people that talk about multiple income streams is the people that want to sell you courses. That's all it comes down to. They just want to sell you courses on how to develop multiple income streams, but they're not primarily interested in you getting any income streams at all, except the one that comes to them. That is it in a nutshell. Stick to your lane, do what you do best, make as much money out of that as possible, then invest it in other multiple income streams if you want. But don't. This thing about, I could be a sourcer, I could be a property refurbisher, I could be a flipper, I could be a landlord, I could be a letting agent, I could be this, I could be that, I could be this. A jack of all trades is a master of none.
Yeah, you're definitely right, Jim. Stick to what you're good at and what you know how to do, and monetize that. Like you say, people that are starting out sometimes that early on in their journey, and they get that vibe where it's like, let's diversify and try and do multiple things. It could be quite detrimental to them, because then they try and do too many things at once. They're all over the place. Do you know? They could end up just giving up or folding up. Folding in.
And look at people like Lee. Look at people like me, and they go, "How have I not got what you've got?" Well, you're only doing 30 to 20% of what I did to get it. Maybe that's the reason, because you're trying to do 4 other things at the same time. It's like, that's why you've not got what I've got. That's why all these comedians doesn't have what Jimmy Carr's got, because Jimmy Carr does 300 gigs a year, every year. And he does a Netflix, and he hones and develops, he gets his cadence right, he gets it 82 beats per minute in terms of how he talks, he listens to music, it has 82 beats per minute before he goes on to do any speaking. When he does on his stage, on his comedy, he listens to that music 82 beats per minute before he goes on, so he understands the cadence, and he's able to deliver that to the best scenario. All the best public speakers in the world talk at 82 beats per minute. Success leaves clues. Why reinvent the wheel? It's crazy. And that's what he talks about. It's about being a master in what you're doing and being the best available, and actually committing 100% of your time to doing that. I'm not a letting agent, and I never will be, and I never want to be. That's you.
Yeah.
I'm an estate agent. I'm damn good at it. Probably one of the best. In fact, we're fourth time #1 estate agent in Scotland at the Estes, which is the Oscars of the estate agency world. But I'm also an investor. But that's the side hustle. And I don't get involved in that.
Yeah.
You do that for me. So I
Yeah.
stick to my knitting.
Yeah, I was
And
just going to say,
the one thing I was always talked about, and the one thing was delivered to me every single time from Keith Cunningham, Rich Dad of Rich Dad Poor Dad. Not Kiyosaki, he wrote the book, but it was about Keith Cunningham. He was Rich Dad. Well, Keith Cunningham says, do you eat your own cooking? Stick to your knitting and eat your own cooking. And that's when you'll know if somebody does that, stick to their knitting and they eat their own cooking. In other words, that they're doing what they're saying, what they're trying to teach, they're actually doing it themselves and they're being successful at it, then that's when you can tell someone else how to do it. Listen to someone else, it's listen to someone else, it's listen to someone else, it's listen to someone else. And is actually just starting their journey and saying, okay, this is what you do next. By the way, that's £1,000. It's like, that's no good to you. Unless they've got what you want, there's no point listening to that person at all.
Yeah, and it's true what you say. Like when you go back to the Jimmy Carr thing, he's really like honing his skills and specialising in what he does, and he's brilliant at it. And he just keeps getting better at it. And like you say, he does have a few side hustle things that he does out with his stand up and all the rest of it. He does TV shows and all the rest of it, but they're all kind of incorporated in the same thing. And he just
But he actually moves away from that. He doesn't do TV shows and he doesn't do acting. The only reason he's doing a TV show is it because it aligns with what he's doing right now. Yeah. It's not to diversify. It's not to do anything different than what he's doing. It's just a bit of fun and what he calls is a hobby.
Yeah.
That's it. It's not. There's no intention to do anything other than just enjoy himself when he does a TV show. But what he does say and what he does talk about this passion for work is like, do you really call it work?
Yeah, I know.
If you love work, I'm getting paid for standing up on stage for an hour and a half every night, 300 nights of the year. I'm getting paid for that. Telling jokes about what I love to do.
Yeah, and that's really what making your passion work for you, because then you're doing what you love as an occupation, and that's really one of the first steps to becoming really kind of an independent, your own independent wealth and building that, and quite easily because you're doing something you love every day.
And quite interesting. It's quite interesting making your passion work for you, and you can learn lessons on the way, but you can learn also lessons from the failure. We talk about all the time about failure. Learn to get used to the word no, and learn to see no as a closer to yes, because the more no's you get, the more likely you're going to get a yes. Now, that's if you hone and develop what you're doing. And a classic example, if you're starting off as an estate agent, a letting agent, and you're going into pitch to someone, therefore, practice before you go into pitch. Practice with other people as a result of that. Make sure you've got your pitch right and make sure it attunes to the right person at the right time in order to guarantee your success and higher conversion overall, in order to demonstrate your added value in what you do. That's what makes a fundamental difference. But more than likely, if you're very passionate about what you do, it comes across in everything you say.
Yeah, you do really. If you've got that passion and that drive for something, it does really come across in how you present yourself in that occupation or whatever what you're doing that you love is. I mean, that could be, there's a multitude of things it could be, but then it really shows out. You could really demonstrate what like natural gifts you actually have in that field because you love it so much and because you put that much into it, and really enjoy using those gifts that you have to obviously further yourself within your career or whatever you're doing in your passion that you love. And the more you do that, I mean, the more happy and successful you'll be within yourself and what you're doing.
I could hear so many people out there right now saying, but I don't have a passion. Well, go and start trying things out.
Everybody does. You know, find it.
Nobody's going to come up to you and say, by the way, this is your passion. You need to do it. You're going to have to go out there and try. You're going to have to go out there and see what you like. You're going to have to go out there and throw mud against the wall and see how much it sticks. That's when you'll truly find your passion, because you don't know what you don't know at this point in time. And what will happen is you'll come across it somewhere and you think, yeah, this is my true calling. This is what I love to do. This is like the classic example about your ministers. Really? When they go, I knew I was called. Wow, that's profound. And I was called to do this. I knew I was just called to do this. When was that enlightenment? And that's the sort of, you'll know when you know, but it doesn't need to be, it doesn't need to be, we're not talking about something that makes money here. We're talking about having happiness and prosperity.
Yeah.
Happiness and prosperity, money's just one of those tools to have happiness and prosperity and to do what you want, when you want, anytime you want to do it. That's what it affords you to do, and be able to concentrate on stuff that maybe has no monetary aspect at all. Because you've always got that income coming in regardless of the situation, because you've learned to take your passion and possibly monetize it as a natural result of what you're doing. But you don't know until you do it. Classic example. So Scott, my son, Scott is, let me have a think, put on the moment. Scott's, he'll be 23. Yeah, 23. He was a 2000 baby. I'll have to work out his December birth. So it'll be 23. So Scott's 23. So Scott came to me and talked about getting lighting equipment. And I says, how much is it going to cost? And he went, well, it's going to be about $3,000 in investment. I went, okay. He says, I bet it's worth a lot more. And I went, well, it's not worth a lot more. It's only worth what somebody's prepared to pay for it. But he says, if you bought it brand new, but it's no brand new, is it? But I says as well, and I talked to him about different aspects and all the rest of it. And I gave him all the, the minimizing the risk and the looking at the downside and then looking at the upside and all the rest of it. And he went out and did, screw it, let's do it. Now, it might be a meteoric fair. That stuff might just sit in the garage forever and he's wasted £3,000. But has he really wasted £3,000? No. He's probably learned the most valuable lesson in the world, if that's the case. But I tell you what happens if something comes of it and he finds his passion? And maybe this is kind of where he is. He's theatre, light production, and all the rest of it. And that's the sort of thing he's into. That's his big thing. I mean, Tom Holland, he was in the same room as Tom Holland 2 days ago. Well, Tom Holland was over at the Buyer in St Andrews to discuss the festival film theatre or something like that. So Tom Holland's there, and I'm like, why did you not get pictures with Tom Holland? And he says, we're not allowed to do that. and he says, and they're over at Dumbarton Links playing golf with Kingsbarns for their charity, the Holland Brothers. He says, but no one's allowed to know about any of that stuff for security issues. And it's only when they go, then they can post stuff about, oh, Tom Holland was here and all the rest of it. And that's the sort of thing. I says, but could you not even get a selfie with him and then post it later on? And there's a lot of people he actually sees, and a lot of high-profile actors and that appear where he is. And I've got a funny feeling that's his passion. I says, but you need to learn to up your game with that, and then push it, lean into it, get involved in it, and then see where you can fit. Because at some point in time, if this is really what you want to be involved in, and he is involved in it anyway, and go further, it's just you just need to lean into your passion and learn lessons while you go. So failure is a great learning opportunity from failure, especially. If not, failure is probably a greater learning opportunity than actually success.
Yeah, it's definitely like what you say. And I know a lot of people have that question, like, I don't have a passion. I don't know what my passion is. But then you just need to take a second and think, right, what do I like doing? What do I enjoy doing? And then if you enjoy doing something, you're more than likely going to be good at it because you want to do it. And if you could make that something that you could create, obviously, a career or monetize it, then by all means do that. And that's how you'll find that day-to-day happiness, doing something that you love to do.
But then that comes back to the number 2, which is understand how society works and get with the times.
Yeah.
So it's taking what you know and what you're passionate about and actually understanding how that fits into society and how you could become a producer and they become a consumer. And the object of a producer's exercise is to produce something or a service or a product someone else wants to consume. And that's the name of the game. Become a producer in some shape or form. Now, everybody could become a producer in some shape or form with their passion, no matter what it is. Oh, but I just work for someone else. Well, surely you've got end customers. Surely you've got people you actually have to deal with, and you have to relay that information to them. You're not an island in your own right in this system. Therefore, you're a producer for someone else who consumes whatever it is you produce for them. That's the object of the exercise. So it's understanding how that all fits in. I always liken it as a business, and I look at it as a gearbox. You could look at it as a car, actually, but in the gearbox itself, and each entity and each business and each division in the business, everybody's got that gearbox, and everybody's a cog in that gearbox. And you have to make sure that what you're doing actually fits in to that cog. So they all rotate round each other and they all run efficiently. And then the car moves forward as a natural result of that, and the business moves forward as a natural result of that as well. So when you're just a cog in the beginning, you know how difficult it is to, you know, cycle a bike and go any faster if you've only got one cog.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. That's what it's like when you first start out with your passion, what you're doing, and how to learn how to monetize it in some shape or form. So when you're like that, then you go, okay, I need to get another cog. Well, I need to get another me. I need to employ someone. I need to get somebody in as a VA, maybe a virtual assistant, or maybe a PA part-time, or somebody that works for me part-time on a maybe a 0 hours contract, because that maybe suits them, and that maybe suits you as well, because you're not really sure about the amount of activity it's going to have to go into what you're doing. You're just not quite sure at this point in time, and then further on down the line, you say, look, if it works out for you, full-time contract. And if we grow this business as a natural result, I mean, that's how you started, Richard Was. With me, I was the cog, and then you became the second cog, and then hey, we're moving faster now.
And as
we're getting more speed.
And then it builds momentum for there, definitely.
And then that's exactly what you said. That's how you build momentum overall.
Yeah, definitely. And I think times have changed a lot as well. I mean, obviously, the way things are in today's world to what they used to be a long time ago are completely different. And to succeed, you just need to know what is happening with, think about the actual flow of money and the materials and the goods and the services and how that all marries up, and how, depending on what you're doing, obviously, and how that relates to the society or the demographic of people that you are trying to obviously appeal to or target. And that all marries up. And see, if you get that right, then you're onto something quite good. And at the same time, if you're doing something you love, it's a win-win.
Absolutely. This comes back to, we talk about as well, understanding the society works and get with the times, and about standing on the shoulder of giants.
Yeah.
And then we talk about, what is the point of putting your children through everything that you've done and starting where you started in order to get what you got later on? Do you really want to put them through all that turmoil and heartache and all the rest of it that you had to go through? Or do you just want to afford them the fast track and actually get them there quicker? And then they start to learn more lessons, which you never got a chance to learn because you couldn't keep up at that point in time. So then they get ahead of you now, and they learn more about what you're involved in, because it's their passion as well. That's about standing on the shoulders of giants. I mean, Carr talks about it. Let's go back to him again. He talks about Richard Pryor and George Carlin and how they first started out in the 70s, and they blazed the trail for comedy. There was no such thing as, a full-time job where a comedian would stand on a stage to thousands of people and for 1.5 hours deliver, a set where we would laugh constantly all the time. But Carlin and Pryor did that in the very beginning, and they set that template overall for everybody else to follow. And then the next guy that came after that was Chris Rock. Chris Rock got down to a perfect opportunity where he actually, everything comes down to analytical. And it's kind of like, here's a classic example of how society works. If you're going to work it, let's look at it like you go to the opticians, okay?
Yeah.
And then you've got a consumer in front of you. That's you. And the optician goes, can you see properly with that? No. Let's try that one then. Let's try that one. Let's try that one. That one works. Yeah, okay, that's perfect. We'll take a note of that. That one works. What about this? What about that? What about this? What about that? That one works. We'll take a note of that. What about this? What about that? What about this? What about that? See the trial and error thing?
Yeah.
And testing out and making sure you get it. This is about understanding how society works. And it's the same example when you go to an optician. It's like, oh, how do your eyes work? All the time. What about this? What about that? What about this? What about that? Oh, that works. Perfect. That works. And then by the time the optician gets to you and goes, by the way, here's your glasses. It'll work. Oh my God. It's like I can see. It doesn't go in and go, I tell you what, I've made you a pair of glasses. Try them on first and see how you get on. Oh, well, they didn't really work that much. Oh, we'll have to go away then. We'll take another 3 weeks to make another set of glasses and see if they works for you as well. What about these ones? Oh, well, they don't work either. All right, we'll get another 3 weeks and we'll send them to manufacturer and we'll get another set. No. He comes straight away and goes, what works? Does this work? Does that work? Does this work? Does that work? And then he works out exactly what, or he or she, by the way, I've got to be, you can't be sexist here. That person works out exactly what you need and how you need to do it, and that's a real analogy of how you should be looking at how society works.
Yeah, and do you know as well, the when you refer to it, like society's got everyone kind of believing that when you talk about your children and stand on the shoulders of the giants and passing down that knowledge, but a lot of people have got indoctrinated into them from society that children should learn for them. You need to learn and start from where I started and learn and learn for your own mistakes. And that's silly when you think about it. And it makes absolute sense when you say, why, when you've done all this and put all this in place and got to this place being in your own success, can you not teach your children to pick up for where you were, instead of them going back and doing Groundhog Day, basically, all over again, and wasting all their time doing what you've already done.
Why do I need to learn differentiating from first principles? If I've got a calculator, I'll give me the answer straight away.
Yeah.
Hello? Why do I need to learn that?
Already worked out how to do it quickly. Yeah.
Einstein, I think it was Einstein, actually. It might have been Einstein. It depends on what it was about, telephone numbers were about at the time. But Einstein was actually asked one day, it was maybe Einstein or someone else, but they were actually asked one day, do you know that person's telephone number? He went, why on earth would I want to clutter my mind with limited space with useless numerical numbers? I would never ever need, if I could just keep them, on me, and I could just open my diary or whenever it is, my wee pocketbook at some point in time, and I would know their number from there. Why would I want to clog this up? The most valuable tool I've got is my mind. Why would I want to clog it up with useless information?
That's a good point. Yeah.
And that's effectively what our education system does. It doesn't really move quick enough with the way technology is moving, and that's a lack of understanding how society works. And actually, as we've said, is getting with the times. And they just don't get it. Oh, AI is going to take over. AI is not going to take over anything. If you understand anything about AI, AI has to learn from us in order for AI to be any good. And if AI tries to learn from AI, guess who that AI is learning from? Us. The only people that works from the AI is us. That's it. AI. So AI is not going to take over the world. AI is not going to displace any jobs. AI is not going to get rid of anything. AI is going to create more jobs, and the people that it will take advantage, displace, will just go and work in AI.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to the paperless office? What happened to how computers would take over the world? And when computers first came out, it's like, oh, nobody will ever be able to work again because computers will do everything. Who has to program the computer? Who has to maintain the computer? Who has to... it maybe does everything more efficiently.
They've made life a lot easier.
Has to be involved.
I was just going to say they've made life a lot easier, but they definitely haven't displaced people completely. And it's interesting what you say there, Jim, about the obviously getting with the times and then looking at the education curriculum and schools and things. And I mean, I'm not saying obviously we need the fundamentals of the basic learning that's taught in schools, but when you think about how far we've come on and how much has the actual curriculum that's taught in school changed, there's a big difference there. And maybe that's something that needs to be revisited. And I've never actually thought about that too much until you said it there.
I don't think the problem is the people in power have the education policy are literally dinosaurs. They have no idea about what to do, and they've been taught old-fashioned techniques in their university and all their training, so they can't. We physically and mentally can't keep up with the overnight changes that are actually happening in how we do things. And it's these trailblazers. This, I'm reading the next book I'm reading. I'm finishing off Finding My Virginity, Richard Branson again, with update for Virgin Galactic. But the next book I'll be reading is how to understand a gamer, and it goes into all the insights about how gamers work and how their minds work and how to use it to your best advantage, and how it's not just about gamers, it's about that type of person, that type of profile, and how these people will basically they will blaze the trail, and they will build a different generation of what we have on this planet, and probably maybe another planet overall, if that's what you care to do. But that's the fundamentals of understanding how society works and getting with the times. And as I said before, children with wealthy families are lucky enough to actually, the wealthy families understand that. They
Yeah.
get it. It's like, I'm not going to send you to the school that I went to, because I've taught you that already, more than likely, because I've been at that school. So I'm probably going to send you to a better school who will actually deliver something which will add value on top of what I've just taught you. Because your children are like sponges. They will do everything, and they will see everything, and they will more or less copy everything, and they will be a mini me or a clone of you in terms of how you do it. You think this is the only life you've got, but the next life you lead after you're dead is through your children.
Yeah. Do you know, and it's like I've said that to you before, and I think obviously your daughter Tony kind of, I mean, you didn't ask her to follow in your footsteps with accountancy and things, but her attention to detail and the way she approaches things and everything, I could see you come through in her, definitely.
Completely analytical.
Yeah, oh, definitely, yeah.
Ben's exactly the same.
And that's because you've taught her that. Obviously, I've worked with Tony, so I know that.
And Scott's the other side, where he's outgoing. You know, he's introvert a bit, but he's outgoing. He's theatre and all the rest of it, because that's the type of thing he's like. Because Scott used to come with me to all the festivals, and he used to go to me at the theatre as well. And anytime I say we're going to the theatre, Scott's like, I'm in there. No matter what's on, he's going.
Yeah.
And that's the sort of thing. So you can see how that actually happens. And believe it or not, as well, actually, your children will learn a lot of the stuff from you, even though they're not born yet. Through your DNA. It's been proven. It's scientifically proven, and it's a dead cert. It's scientifically, it's fact that whatever you're doing right now and however you're acting, whatever you're getting involved in, if you get PTSD or you do anything, criminal behavior or anything like that, before you've even had children, when you eventually have children, some of that will pass on to them through your DNA.
Yeah.
That's mind-blowing. That's mind-blowing. And a lot of people out there will go, aye, right, okay, fine. Don't listen to me.
No, I
see what happens.
And that, yeah.
And that's why the life that you've got right now isn't really a finite life. It's gone on before, and it's gone on now, and it will go on after as well, as a natural result of what you're doing. Who was it that said, I think it was Darwin. Darwin says something to the effect, society and in general, life went on way before I was born, and I've here for this small time, and life will go on way after I go. It will still go on regardless. It won't make no difference. So what does that say about where you are right now? It means take every day and use it to the best of your ability, and teach and learn as much as possible. That's effectively what I do every single time. Learning all the time. Consistent learning. Kaizen, the Japanese.
Yeah, we've done that before.
Kaizen built Japan and built the whole thing. An American, actually. His name was Kaizen, his surname. And that's why in Japan, Kaizen is about efficiency. It's about being the best at it. It's about having the best way to do something. And that's what Kaizen means in Japanese, in their society.
Yeah, I was just checking. I think Darwin, because Darwin was survival of the fittest, and I think was Darwin theory of relativity.
No, that's Einstein or something like that. Okay, so how much you understand about today's society determines whether you become rich, I would say, and successful, or a slave to a paycheck, or at some job you don't even like. And by the way, that's 91% of the population. 91% of the population hate what they do. I'm fortunate enough to be in the 9%. It's probably a different category for me, actually.
Probably.
I love what I do.
There's probably a smaller percentage that represents the category for you, Jim. But yeah, and then as we move on to the next part, and number 3, and it's earning money from your life work, and obviously we speak about doing things that you love and finding that passion. But finding your life work is only half of the battle. Making it into a livelihood is probably the other half.
Yeah.
And if somebody's doing something that they love, then that's fine. But say, for instance, somebody, just say they're great at maybe making bread and things, and they could make bread all day long. That doesn't mean they're necessarily going to automatically become rich or wealthy. And earning their wealth requires a system behind that So if you're really good at something, that's fine, but you need to have a business model behind that
Yeah.
to
This
promote.
comes
And
back to the
that,
swinger hammer.
yes,
This goes back to the swinger hammer mentality, Richard. So the swinger hammer mentality is, if you just want to swing a hammer and you don't want to be involved in accounts, you don't want to be involved in marketing, you don't want to be involved in overseeing employees, you don't be involved in staff
management,
disputes, you don't want to be involved in management or anything like that, go and work for someone else and just swing a hammer. Being self-employed isn't for you. Running your own business isn't for you then. If you want an easy life, you want to go home at 5 o'clock at night or whatever it is time you want to go home, you want to get up and just go to your work and finish and never think about it all weekend and just go and enjoy yourself, just go and swing a hammer. That's all you need to do. That's all you do. But if you want to really make some sort of success, well,
there's nothing.
no, I never ever said there was anything wrong with it at all.
That's what I'm pointing that out.
No, there's no need to. I don't think there's any need to apologise for that at all. If anybody, you know about getting offended on the internet, getting offended by somebody who says something on the internet is like choosing to stand in dog shit when you could have walked round it. True?
Yeah, it's true. I know.
Yeah, that's what getting offended on the internet is by somebody.
Yeah.
Just basically, you choose to stand in the dog shit instead of walking around it. That's what it is. So I don't really need to apologise for anything because it's up to someone else whether they want to listen to that or not. If you don't want to listen to me, just switch off and do something else. You might want to stay broke for the rest of your life if that's the case. Because I tell you what, if somebody's pretty wealthy and I'm watching them and I'm thinking, okay, I've got something I can learn from him, I'm not going to get offended if they say something that's like, oh, well, this is the way I think. It's like, oh, I'm never listen to that person ever again. Wait a minute, they've got a lot to teach. You know, I think it was Chairman Mao, and you know, most people know who Chairman Mao is, an absolute nutter, who basically decimated a lot of people and killed them all, and ruled China with an iron fist, basically. In other words, you're doing what I'm doing, or it's the gallows, or whatever it is. You know, you're not coming back. We're getting rid of you. That sort of thing. So Chairman Mao, somebody else might be able to like me a bit more about him, but that's not the detail really we're talking about. But even Chairman Mao said something so profound. He says, you'll never get a chance to stop and admire the world galloping by on a horse. And that's effectively, so even people like that you can learn from in some shape or form. From their experiences. So, but it's also you can learn from the things that they did, well, probably did wrong.
What they did wrong,
yeah. And this is why every single year we bring up, and people go, no, know the poppy thing again. No, they remember the war. Is it no about time we finished all this because it was all these years ago? No, the reason it's brought up every single time is to teach the next generations that war does not pay.
No. Yeah.
War does not benefit anybody. You know, nations wage war and people pay the price. But war does not benefit to anybody. Oh, I've got everything you've got. Okay. And then how are you going to establish any e-commerce? Look at the classic example when you looked at I can't remember, it was the Mel Gibson film where he did the Americans in the Civil War and they were fighting the British. No, it was no the Civil War. They were fighting the British, the Redcoats and the Americans when they were for independence.
Right, okay. Well,
yes, a fantastic film. But the commander in charge in the British Army actually said at one point in time to one of his generals, are you an idiot or something? Do you realise we've got to establish commerce with people when we take over America, when we finally get through this? And this is the thing about Russia. It's like you're bombing them. You're bombing them to buggery. It's like, do you realise you've got to try and establish commerce with these people when you're finished? That ain't going to happen, is it?
Yeah. Anyway, it's The Patriot. Gary's just chipped in.
Patriot, yeah, absolutely. It's a fantastic film. A lot of lessons in that film. Definitely, if you're watching the Mel Gibson, The Patriot, there's a lot of lessons in there that you could learn. And I love these type of films. I will watch these films several times because of the lessons that you can learn through the stories that they tell. See how that is? How it's all about stories.
Yeah.
Diary of a CEO is just all about stories. It's stories of people
sharing their story.
Have either been extremely successful or people that have been an extreme failure and they've lost everything. And it's the lessons that you learn from these people. It will allow you to then put your beliefs into practice and allow you to either succeed or fail as a natural result of that, or of implementing or not implementing something that they've maybe done or not done. and actually learning from their lesson. I'm a big fan, as I said before. This is all about watching the person jumping the hurdles. If you want to be the best hurdle jumper in the world, you watch the people that are the best in the world first, and you analyze exactly what they do, where their foot goes at certain points in times, and then you start trial and erroring it yourself, but you learn from them first. Why would you then just go, oh, I'm not going to bother learning from anybody far more successful than me and watching and analysing? Why do you think the American football games, they all sit down after their game and they sit and analyse about who went where and why and what, and why did they run round that way, and why did... That's how you learn. That's how you earn. That's how you get more for what you do.
Yeah. Yeah, and like you say, Jim, obviously earning the money from your life work, it does revolve around a good business model and things. But like we just says, if some people want to be just the general labourer or worker and the 9-to-5 thing, they're such a big part of that machine and that cog for people to be able to build a good business model. Yeah, I mean,
I need these people. I need people to literally wash my car.
Yeah,
it's like the camper van. I've got the guy coming out, and it's like, that's going to cost you 600 quid to get all that done. It's like, okay,
get it done.
It's like, and there was a day I would go, sorry, what? But now it's like, my God, I know what you're needing to do to this. This is a whole day on this. This is silicon, to make sure that you've got a proper coating on this to make sure it doesn't decay at all. Yeah, okay, go and do it. Because I know what it's going to cost me to do it. It's going to be more than 600 quid.
Yeah.
Because I know what my time's worth.
Yeah.
So it's like, fill your boots, go and you do it.
And you appreciate that that's what they specialise in, and they know how to do that. You don't have to worry about it. It doesn't take you away from what you're doing. Yeah, and it's all about having that good business model in all these different fields, and they'll all marry up. And like you say, a good business model does really have, like, it includes developing the market and the skills and finding new ways to appeal and please your customers and your customer base, and taking advantage of the internet to reach a wider population, Jim.
Is that what we're doing right now?
Yeah, I was going to say, look what we're doing right now.
Oh, but nobody knows about me. Flipping heck. Get on and start talking about your business. But don't talk about your business. Teach other people how to do what you're doing. Because I'll guarantee you, they can't do what you're doing. So, but who do you think they think is the most skilled person at doing what you do? Hello?
The person that's talking about it, yeah.
The person that's talking about it all the time. Because every time you're talking and teaching somebody else, you're demonstrating clearly to them that, wow, you've got a knowledge and expertise in this straight away. I know exactly where to come when I've got a problem or an issue with whatever it is you're doing or you're teaching at this point in time. Because they're not going to do it. Nobody. How many hours in the day do you think people are just got loads of hours in the day? They think, I tell you what, I'm going to start a property. I'm going to start a property business. I'm going to start a letting agency. I'm going to start an estate agency. I'm going to be a photographer. And it's like, okay, give up your job then. Oh, well, I can't afford to give up my job. Well, there you go. You're not going to be doing it, are you? But I tell you what, you'll know damn fine who to come to when you're ready to get involved, or you're needing to sell your house, or you're needing to get your house let, or you're needing to get advice on something, or you're needing to go on a training course on a specialist aspect about something. You know the person you're going to come to as a result of that.
Yeah.
Every single time. Everybody knows their specialist. And it's about occupying that wee bit in somebody's mind and becoming the disruptor. And actually getting access. Because remember, this can only hold so much information. So if you can push yourself into there while pushing someone else out at the same time, you've now occupied their mind as the person to go to every single time. You're never going to win that argument with everybody. You're only going to have your dedicated people and your loyal followers that are going to follow you as a natural result of that. But I'm no after 1,000 people that just like me. I'm after 100 people that love what I do and endorse me. Fans. That's what, because I'm a fan with somebody else. There's other people, Diary of a CEO, Stephen Bartlett, I'm a fan. It's like, that's the type of people you want, because all they do is talk about you every single time.
Yeah. And it's interesting you say about, obviously, there's only so much knowledge that could be kept in here. And this is exactly what the Wealth Creation Show is about. It is very educational, but it's a big bank of knowledge as well. That's obviously content that's created and kept for not just us, but for everybody that watches. And but also we do other shows as well, and like you say, it's demonstrating our knowledge, and it's pinning our colours to the mast as well, because we're like, well, do you know, we're putting it out there, and saying it rather than, hiding behind anything. And it's like, this is what we do and this is how we do it.
Nobody knows about my business. How many people have you told about it? Well, I told my mum. Honestly, that's what happens. I talk about and think about it all the time. But who else knows about it then? Only you. Why do you think nobody's ringing your? Why do you think nobody's ringing your phone? Nobody's contacting you. Nobody's messaging you or anything like that. Because you're not doing any advertising, any marketing at all about what you do and how you do it. You're not anywhere. You're not anywhere. Oh, but I've got a website. Okay, so how does anybody find your website out of the billions of websites that's on the internet? They don't.
No.
I've got two guys like that. One's a very proactive tutor, online tutor. It's £60 an hour. And he's running classes and he's making more time now. He's making more money and he's in a weekend class than he ever was in his full-time job. In a weekend class. I've got another one that just says, but I've set up a website and nobody's inquiring. Hello?
You need to put yourself out there. Yeah.
McFly. McFly. Anybody in there, McFly? It's like, but that one I'll never learn because I know that he'll never learn because he's got too much. He's too comfortable. He's not out of his comfort zone. Be comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's probably key here. This is what will make a fundamental difference. Don't settle. I'll tell you, Kami Barnes. Okay, I was talking to Kami. Okay, and I have to mention his name because obviously I'm relaying the story. It says, it says I just want to play at the Barras, and he says, do you know what though? I've got a funny feeling once I play at the Barras, I'll be thinking, I wonder if I could do the hydro.
And then move up, yeah.
And I went, you beauty. I says, that's brilliant. I says, but that's exactly how it should be, Kami.
Yeah.
That's exactly how it should be. It's like just when you get to that summit, you kind of think, oh, I wonder if I could go for that.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, absolutely. And then I thought I was going to say him next. But once you've done the hydro, what about Glastonbury? and stupidly, he's not with the Red Hot Chili Peppers now, but they're playing Glastonbury this year.
Really?
If I was him, I'd be back on my old mates and go, any chance I could do a couple of songs for you, and just play Glastonbury. And I wouldn't care if it was for free.
Yeah,
it's like the publicity that you would get out of that would be unbelievable. You're on BBC iPlayer forever, and you're on YouTube forever, and you're always there, and everybody knows you because you've been on Britain's Got Talent, and you've done all these gigs, and you've done 20 years at this, and you've grafted. This is the 20-year rule. To be at the pinnacle of your career, I've got a sneaking suspicion. I'm now beginning to realise it takes people 20 years in the business to do that, to be the top of what they do. Yeah. It's generally 20 years, I think, is the rule of thumb. 15 to 20 years doing the same thing all the time and sticking in there, being the best and learning and being a student in that field will accelerate them. Well, it doesn't accelerate. It's a slow burner, and then all of a sudden, oh, he's an overnight success.
Yeah, the continual learning thing is very important, but it's also about putting yourself out there and like inserting yourself in the right situations, in the right places. To obviously, like you're saying, if he's got the opportunity to maybe go back to his old mates and be at Glastonbury, definitely put yourself in that. Even if whether you're doing it for free or not,
If you look at Sugar and you look at Branson and you look at Jobs and you look at Musk, they've all been in what they did before they ever got any meteoric success, about 20 years doing what they were doing, wherever it was. I mean, Wozniak and Jobs started out at Atari as just game developers for Atari. And when Nolan Bushnell was in charge of Atari, when Atari was at the pinnacle of its heights, it was a huge entity. It was churning out games left, right, and centre. Asteroid, Space Invaders, Pong, all these different games. Atari was at the pinnacle of everything for Atari games, and they became programmers as a result. And then when they left, so they'd done a huge stint in there, but then when they left, they were in their garage next. There must be a thing about starting in garages. Hence the reason why Bezos started in the garage, because he felt it was necessary. I think you've got to start in a garage, so he started in his garage.
Well, it worked for him anyway.
But that's the sort of thing, and it's but when you look at it, it does make sense. If you start in your garage, right, you're saving an absolute fortune in overheads. You're able to be lean and mean, and you'll be able to a hell of a lot of money into product development, and also a hell of a lot of money into marketing as well at the same time. And you don't have all these overheads. So why would you want to
trying to
start?
run an office or a unit or whatever?
But do you know what most people do is they run out straight away, and the model and the paradigm that they follow is, I need to get an office and then I'll be successful. I'll tell you, it doesn't work because I've done it.
Yeah.
It doesn't work at all. You don't need a premises. You don't need an office if you can run your business without it, because the overheads are astronomical, and that's what will sink you. But that's what people think will make a difference. If I have a premises, everybody will walk into it. Well, if you have a website, not everybody will visit either.
No,
so not everyone is going to visit your premises. And I'll guarantee you, you know this yourself, Richard, hardly anybody walks into an office nowadays.
Yeah, the most people that walk in our office is contractors, because obviously we're obviously doing keys.
Central place.
It's not actual business as such.
This is why most of the Americans actually work off industrial sites, industrial areas, commercial retail areas and stuff like that. They don't actually have high street premises. They just have the industrial, typical site like Whitehall Industrial Estate, or like Leavenmouth, the Thompson Docks development, stuff like that. Thompson House, they work out of there, because that's all you need. If you're good at what you do, everybody's going to look for you, and you just want to make sure that they could find you. That's the whole point. Why do you think we're all over it when it comes to the internet? Why do you think why do you think we're dominant on Facebook? There's that's no luck. That is not luck. That's deliberate intention. That's the whole point. Because that's where all the people are.
Yeah, especially in how things work today. You've got the correct marketing strategy and the approach, and putting yourself out there and getting people's attention, and putting yourself in front of people and being, as you say, Jim, disruptive. Then that's how you do it.
And everybody else is sitting in an office. All right, I'll just sit at my laptop and wait for the phone to ring. Hello, is the phone working? It's like, hello. Oh, I've got an email. I'll have to deal with that. I've got an email. That sort of thing.
It makes me think of the story that you told me when you started out all the years ago. Remember, you check if the phone was plugged in.
Gordon, go and ring the phone, see if it's working, because we're not getting any calls. Like, but then that was the trial and error. We had to work out exactly what we needed to do in terms of marketing ourselves, and that's why it takes 20 years.
Yeah, and that's just
once you got that, or you can buy that.
Everybody has to start somewhere. Yeah,
you could buy that service and straight away. By the way, you could buy that service and straight away. You could actually just, the master on the art of delegation is Richard Branson. Richard Branson has no idea how to do anything really, except find the right people to do the job that he can do. He's a master at it completely, and he's got it down to a complete niche. It's like he dominates that space completely. It's like when he needs somebody, it's like he knows who to phone. It's like, are you coming on board? Hi, because everybody wants to work with him now because he's so successful.
And that just frees up all the space in his mind, not having to think about things or learn how to do things, because he knows the right people to do it for him. And ultimately, it gives him his time back as well.
Yeah, come and visit me on my private island. All right, Richard, let's go. It's like, that sort of thing. You come in to see me, we're going to talk about this. Oh, I'll be in there in a heartbeat. Because everybody, most people know about Necker Island and what it is, and how beautiful it is. It's literally, if you ever watched Fantasy Island when you were younger, and you watched that when everybody arrived on the boat, that is Necker Island.
Yeah.
So this all comes then to come in. The fourth one you talked about was increasing your money IQ. Money is the kind of is the measurement. Money is. Because we're living I don't care what anybody says. We're living in a capitalistic society. You've got no other choice. Money is really most people's measure of success, how successful you are. If you go round to somebody and you've got two people standing right in front of you, are you going to listen to the person that's broke, stony broke, out in the luck, no job, on benefits? Or are you going to listen to the person right next door to them? It looks exactly the same, but one of them's a multimillionaire. You're probably going to immediately make that assumption. It's like the multimillionaire obviously is successful, and that's why they're a multimillionaire.
Yeah,
you're going to listen to that person a hell of a lot more.
Money is definitely a measurement, and people that are lucky enough, maybe they've grew up and their parents have taught them about money, and maybe later on had really good mentors who taught them the importance of money and the life skills and things around
Of course.
money management and things. But not everybody's always that lucky. But if you have had mentors or had those kind of parents and things, then you'll probably find that a lot of what they teach and tell people revolve around the same kind of systems. And there's a lot for them to learn. And it's like you say, Jim, it's passing that on at an early stage in people's lives so that they don't have to go through all the trials and tribulations that they went on before, and ultimately lifting everybody up and helping everybody be successful in their own right.
First thing I says to my boys whenever they were savvy about money or they were just becoming more aware, whatever you do, never move out of this house if you can get away, and stay here as long as you can, because you're getting free rent, you're getting free food, you're getting free utilities, you're getting free council tax, you're getting free water, you're getting free everything. So why would you want to then take on rent at £500 a month minimum, £6,000 a year, and then add on council tax, which is about 150 quid, which is another £2,000 a year, and then on utilities, which is another £200 a month, that's another 2,400 a year, and then add on your repairs and improvements to any your property, which is maybe another £2,000 a year, and then add on your food that you've got to survive on, which is another, maybe £800 per person a month, so about 9,600 a year. So why would you want to take on a property and move out and lose £22,000 worth of money every year just because you wanted to stay in your own house? Really? I'll just stay with mum and dad as long as I can.
As long
And
as you
actually,
can.
And I actually said to the boys, look, there'll come a day where we actually just might move out into our bungalow. And if you're still here, what we'll do is we'll subdivide the house. You could live downstairs, you could live upstairs because it's big enough to do that. And we'll just leave the house to you guys and you can get on with it.
Yeah.
And that's the sort of mentality you should be teaching your children. You shouldn't be teaching them, get out of here as quick as possible and booting them out the door and saying, fend for yourself. We're
Yeah.
not in the wild. We're not
Yeah, I
feral.
know.
We're no feral. It's like this isn't a blooming Nature Trek or whatever it is, or Planet Earth, the blue planet you get. It's nothing like that. We're not in the wild, you know. It's like making sure that your children can actually stand on their own 2 feet later on. But if you can give them a great head start by staying with me as long as you want, see if you get a partner. If they want to move in, they can move in as well. We're fine with that as well. And they'll save money. You'll both save money. You'll make an absolute fortune. You can compound your wealth over a period of time, and you'll be way ahead of everybody else. The object of the exercise is to observe the masses and do the exact opposite.
Yeah.
Whereas everybody else is going, I need to get married, I need to have kids, I need to get a job straight away, I need to get a house, I need to, it's like, and I need to get the best car possible, I need to get this best holiday possible, I need to show everybody on Instagram I'm so successful, I need to, it's like, listen, there's a difference between a need and a want.
Yeah.
Work it
Yeah,
out.
yeah, definitely. And I think when people have got a proper, I mean, when we talk about money IQ, it's people's practical knowledge of money and how important that is, and how to manage it. And there's lots of, like, I mean, Jim, you've read a lot more books than what I have, but there's a lot of get-rich books out there, but none of them are very systematic as such. And we refer to, obviously, Robert Kiyosaki's like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which is quite a systematic book. But other books, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, because you're a lot obviously more well read than I am, but a lot of them probably sometimes just confuse people rather than actually help them.
Yeah, there's a lot of good books out there. There's Money Mastery by Tony Robbins. He writes a lot of good money books.
Yep.
There's Alan Sugar wrote a good money book. Duncan Ballantyne wrote a really good money book as well. Previously, I mean, you know, Ballantyne could be in it. Andy Shaw. Most people don't know Andy Shaw, and they probably will never know Andy Shaw. But Andy Shaw wrote a book, Money for Nothing and Property for Free, years ago.
I've heard of that, yeah.
Yeah, Money for you can't get it anymore because I don't think it's in production anymore. But I tell you what, Money for Nothing, Property for Free. He did some of the things wrong, and he went to the wall and lost 300 properties in the credit crunch. when it happened in 2008. But there was a lot of things he learned from it were so successful that I learned from as well, and I implemented them in strategies in terms of what I was doing. But I also avoided the things that he was doing because I knew that's a recipe for disaster. Taking 1% of the value of your property every single year and spending it. That's just daft, especially if you don't need it. I mean, he was doing things like, let's get fitted for a Ferrari. And he was going away to the Ferrari factory in Italy and actually getting fitted for a Ferrari. And then him and his son driving his Ferrari back home from Italy. Aye, these sort of things. And it's like, Andy, you're off your head. And he probably had a great time, but he does a bug-free mind as well now. So he teaches people how to have a bug-free mind. And he's got massive amounts of lists. I mean, this guy has. If you wanted to know somebody about building lists and having data and having all that information, and you could sell to other people, and that's the most valuable commodity on this earth now. People's data. Yeah. Andy was one of the top in the world. He was number 2. He actually won like a car for having the second biggest lists in the world when there was a competition on. So that, you know, this is an entrepreneurial guy. Originally, worked as a manufacturing double glazing. Him and his business partner, and then he thought, "What the hell am I doing all this for? I'm employing all these people, and I'm doing everything like that to actually make the same amount, if not less, money, and all the heartache than I would make in property working 1 day a week." Does that sound familiar? That?
Yeah.
Yes. Hello. What am I doing working 160 hours a week as a financial director if I could work 1.5 days a week and earn 6 times more?
But yeah, but it's having, and then that's where it comes down to having that knowledge and that practical knowledge towards money, and
it's
that's
having
what
the belief.
Yeah, and your money IQ. Yeah,
it's the belief. It's a lot to do with belief.
Yeah,
definitely. You know, honestly, a lot to do with belief. It's like, you know, I said, I'll mention it, and Tony will probably watch this maybe later on or something like that, or maybe our children will watch it if she's going to have children. But it's interesting because I said to Tony during the week, how would you like to come on with me for a week and every week, and we'll just sit with Laura and she'll go over it. And I spend 45 minutes with Laura, you know that, to an hour, talking about where all the properties are, where the rents are, what's happening in the stock, and you'll probably earn more than you're actually earning a full-time job right now. And she went, oh, but that's going to be a lot of hassle, and it's will that mean I'll have to be involved in phoning people? And I went, whoa, this is 45 minutes a week. Do you think I phone people? It's like, I don't do anything except for 45 minutes a week strategizing. That is all I do. And I don't think she's realized that actually, I don't think she's got that tipping point. You know how it took me 3 years to leave my job? Because I just couldn't believe I could actually make more money leaving my job in 1.5 days a week than I was making in a full-time job as a financial director. It took me 3 years to get that, to understand that was possible. Well, that's where she is right now, I think. She's just like, she doesn't believe that. She thinks it's a typical example of it. There must be something more to this than actually just earning more than what I was just doing 45 minutes a week. No, there's no. There's no. There's not at all.
That's interesting, because if Tony ever watches this back, and then she'll be able to think, oh, that's how I thought at that time.
Well, this is like Holly Branson. You know, Holly Branson worked as a doctor in a hospital, and Holly Branson now works with her dad. But I'm sure she earns a hell of a lot more with her dad and works a lot less hours than she was as a doctor.
Oh yeah, I would imagine so.
When you look at that mentality, but she just loved being a doctor. But maybe she just didn't think that she could actually take that leap, and how that was entirely possible. But if you've come from a mindset where you're restricted and where you've been involved with other people who don't think like that, then it's easy to understand why you think, oh, it can't be that. Surely that can't be possible.
Yeah, can't be that easy.
Yeah, it can't be that easy. Yeah, it is. When you get, but remember, you're standing on the shoulder of giants when you're doing that. You know, I've done 30 years at this to get to this stage, to allow you to stand there on that platform and actually just take that from that point and not do the 30 years. I'm not asking you to do the 30 years. You don't need to get involved in the mire right now. Like I had to do.
That's like the calling people and all this and things that she was thinking about. But she didn't have to do that.
That's immediately what she thinks. That's
Yeah.
what she's thinking. It's like she's, oh, the terror. It's like, I've got to call people. I've got to. It's like, no. It's like, you don't do anything like that. You're
You've
just
done all that
strategy.
and got people that do it for you now. So yeah,
It'll
she's
take
able.
time to. It'll take time to get that message across. Clearly.
But yeah, so as we say, Money IQ, there's lots of good books out there. Some of them, obviously, be careful what books you read and what books you take knowledge from. Make sure, I mean, Jim, you gave us some good examples there. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, of course, is a really good book, and it's quite systematic. And as opposed to maybe confusing readers about where their money perspective should come from. There are two basic sets of knowledge when we talk about Money IQ, when you're trying to achieve success and things. And obviously, Money IQ, as I said, is the practical knowledge of money. But there is a second one, and it's Money EQ we're going to talk about. We're going to finish up talking about that today. And it's kind of like it acts as like a barometer of your emotional health regarding money. Now, so to kind of explain that a bit better, it maybe like suggests that our emotions or our attitudes or our behaviours regarding money play a significant role in our financial well-being. And it really does kind of encompass the understanding of our emotions around money and help us make the right, obviously conscious financial decisions and managing money-related stress and anxiety. Because I mean, there's a lot of responsibility and probably stress and anxiety that comes with being successful and earning money and running a business and things as well, or whatever you may be doing. It's how you deal with that properly, and that's Money EQ.
This comes back to exactly what I said about the situation with Tony. Does she actually believe that's entirely possible?
Yeah.
That's emotion.
Mm-hmm.
See, the anxiety comes out of that. It's like, and that comes back to what I did was when I got to effectively 35 and I could retire at 35, it took me to 38 to go through all that heartache and turmoil and almost go through all that anxiety and stress to actually say, no, I actually can't. It just it was just that thing is really, is this entirely possible? 35-year-old walk away and never need to work ever again, financially free? Is that possible?
Did you find yourself looking for a reason why you couldn't do that, as opposed to the reason why
every single time?
Yeah.
Every single time. It was almost like I just didn't believe that was possible because I'd never heard. I mean, I'd learned from people like that. Benny D'Souza retired at 25 years old, but I didn't have that much of a constant connection with Bernie. And as well as Pat Agreed Gregory and Jerry Mandy Scriven and David Denise Butler, John and Caroline Galeska, Bill O'Brien. Who else? Jerry Hartide.
These are all mentors.
Yeah, Jerry Hartide and people like that. All the people I learned from the very beginning and got that knowledge and wealth of information. But primarily on the coalface, you were involved with people just like yourself. So I'd still not go over that emotional hurdle in my mind, and that's why we talk about increasing your emotional
abilities,
behavior towards money. It's, do you actually believe it's entirely possible? Is it possible for you? Yes, it is possible, and anybody can do it. But is it possible for you? That's what you've got to say. When we got involved in network marketing works, and it still works today. Utilities Warehouse is a classic example of network marketing. Still goes on, it chuggers on like a train. A lot of people aren't successful in it, in Utilities Warehouse, but network marketing works. But you have to decide, will it work for you? And it's the same with everything. You know, someone else will be the best estate agent in the world if you're not going to be the best estate agent.
Yeah.
So you have to decide, will it work for you? Someone else is going to be the best letting agent if you're not going to be the best letting agent. But you have to decide, will it be the best? Will you be the best at it? It's your decision, but that comes back to this emotional level about, do you really believe you're entirely possible of doing that? As far as I'm concerned, I think I could do anything if I really put my mind to it.
Yeah, and if you get yourself into that mindset where you really truly believe that you can achieve anything that you set out to do, and be as successful or more successful than anybody else, then that's something that will really put you on the right track to meteoric success even.
The key here is, though, is you've kind of touched on what I'm about to say next. It's not about being more successful than anyone else. It's about being just as successful as you were the year before.
Mhm.
It's about the person that you're going to become. It's the most important thing. This comes back to doing things now to give yourself a gift for tomorrow.
Yeah.
This comes back to you go out and do that 5K today, because in 10 years' time, if you do that 5K every other day, then in 10 years' time, you'll have the gift of health that you've given yourself. That's a whole different mindset. Might want to talk about that. You know, maybe that's next week's. But that's a whole different mindset. That means you've got to watch Jimmy Carr and take notes.
I've already watched some of it. You sent me the link to it. It's actually quite good. So.
But when you see how profound he's become and how analytical he's become and how educated he's become, then you'll know straight away. I mean, Jimmy Carr apparently was a degree physics, but he doesn't want to be a physics teacher.
No.
You know, he doesn't want to teach physics. And this talks about sticking to your lane, sticking to what you're really good at, sticking to what you love doing best. It doesn't. You didn't need to make money in everything. It's not. This isn't what happiness, the pursuit of happiness and prosperity, is all about. It's about what you interpret it to be for yourself. It's not about what we say it is for you. It's about what you think it is for yourself.
Yeah, and I think as well, as soon as people maybe look at the Wealth Creation Show and how, and they instantly think it's all about money. Now, money is a big part of it, and money is, as we say, it's a byproduct, and it's also
doing anything without money.
And it's also a measurement of what you do. And obviously it's a big part of it, but wealth comes in a lot of different forms, especially in your own self and your own success. It's not just money, but money will always be involved.
Everybody, look at the Village Cafe and series.
Yeah,
95 quid to hit our target. So I went on this morning and gave them 95 quid.
Yeah.
Someday the weekend in the marathon, I need X amount to hit my 2,500. And before he started the marathon, I just went on and I gave him another 100 quid or something like that. And just put on.
Yeah.
2.5. Go out there and smash it, mate.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not expecting anything from that, but that's what money can afford you to do. That's the whole point of money.
Help other people.
Of course it is. If you can, you must. If you don't need it, go and make it and give it to someone that desperately needs it. Do something that you love. And it's like, I love doing this. And I make so much money at it, but I don't know what to do with this money. Give it to somebody that needs it then and keep doing it. Just keep doing your passion and charging for it. I'll charge it for free. No. Don't give anything away for free. Because people devalue what you do as soon as you start giving it away for free.
Yeah.
Definitely, every single time. They don't see the value in it. Because if everybody saw the value in this, we would have 1 million people watching this show at this point in time. Literally, we've got 10. What does that tell you about everything? If I charged for this, we'd have a lot more people watching it. But the point of this was never about teaching other people. This was about teaching the next generations of my family. This is the Wealth Creation Show, and this is why it was created in the first place. Because I couldn't be arsed writing a book.
Yeah, it's here to build a bank of knowledge that will always be there for us, and indeed to generations to come for your family and things. So that is initially why it started, and it's kind of, I mean, what we're on episode 119.
Yeah, quite a lot.
Yeah, but that was good. Yeah, money IQ and money EQ. We finished up there. Obviously, the practical knowledge of money, and also that emotional approach, and that the way to deal with the money-related things like stress and anxiety, and those important financial decisions and how you deal with them. So that's IQ and money EQ. And that's us for today. That was the 5 points for the third part of this mini series, and I thought that was quite good, Jim. Thanks for
all your insight. And I'll get away because I'm away to Spain tomorrow to lie on a beach at my house.
I know you are. Right, that's good.
And 30 degrees of sunshine. Hence the reason why I've just had a haircut.
Yeah, well, I heard the weather in Spain's quite nice just now. My sister's right there, so So yeah, you enjoy it, but we will be back next Monday, 12:30 as usual. Thanks everybody for listening, guys, and for tuning in while we discussed about happiness and prosperity, and we'll catch you next week.
Bye-bye for now.